I thought I'd very quickly share with you my flower arrangement of the week. I absolutely love Oriental lilies. I think they're outrageous and mad and extremely beautiful. But what pleases me most of all is that I grew these the first time I've grown them. I think that looks lush. You join me on quite an exciting morning. I recently went to Bunnings and purchased myself a battery powered chainsaw, and today is the first day that I plan to use it. I just thought I'd show you it in its box so you can see all the information. I went for a 36 volt rather than the 18 volt, and I've got the skin only because I already have a battery and charger. So I'll take it out of the box and show you what it looks like. Here it is out of the box. I was in two minds about whether to get the 36 volt or the 18 volt. But I talked it over with a friend of mine and he suggested a 36 volt would be better. I'd get more power and the battery would last longer. The thing that I was wondering about was whether it would make it a bit heavy. What I really want is something that's light and manoeuvrable. I don't need it to cut through massive trees. Really, I'm only going to be chopping quite small trees. We've got the Husqvarna chainsaw, which lives over there. For big jobs, that's a petrol-powered chainsaw. So this is really only for me to potter about and tinker around with. So as it's mostly going to be something that I'm using, I just didn't want it to be too heavy and unwieldy. But not that this will help you. But it's pretty light, I can pick that up quite easily, albeit it doesn't have a battery in it at the moment. The battery goes in there. So I'm going to read through the manual, top it up with chain and bar oil, and then spark it up. As per the instructions, I have topped up the chain and bar oil, which goes here in this little reservoir. I've inserted my battery pack. I've checked the tension of the bar, which seems pretty good, but seems quite straightforward to change if it's not. It's just this dial here. I've read a bit about how to hold it, how to start it. So basically you need to pull the chain brake back, it just clicks on and off. And then you have this button and this button, which this won't stay on. It's a safety mechanism, and you pull that to start it. That was excellent. Nothing like as loud as the petrol chainsaw. Didn't feel unwieldy, didn't feel like I was out of control. Kind of sounded a bit like a really powerful vacuum cleaner. So I ran it for a bit to get some oil going through. I'm going to go and try it out. I don't think I'll film that because I don't want to use it single-handedly or one-handedly. So I'll grab my helmet and take it down to some wood that I want to process and see what happens. Sorry that I couldn't really show you me chopping the wood down, but I thought I'd show you my haul, just so you can get an idea of what I accomplished. And yes, if you're wondering, this is how I transport wood. For any of you that have seen the most recent Grand Tour special at the time of me posting this, my attitude towards cars is distinctly French. I'm going to go for a cup of tea now, and then what I thought I'd do is process this into burnable lengths. But I might do this in a slightly different place than I'd normally do it, because I think I can pop you on a table and set myself up so you can watch me processing this and get an idea of how good the chainsaw is. And spoiler alert, it's amazing. What a game-changing piece of equipment for me and how I manage this property. I hope you can see that okay. This is the logger saw, holding on to a piece of wood that I'm now going to chainsaw. looks a bit bright anyway. I hope you saw how easily that went through that. And for anyone that's interested in these things, I sawed down today, I think it was either 6, 7, 8, 7-ish trees, which I also cut into more manageable lengths to pull up the hill. I also trimmed the branches, and I've come up to the house and have generated 2 wheelbarrows of wood of about this size, all on one battery charge, if that's helpful to anyone. I should also add that it comes with a 4 amp hour battery. I decided to get the skin only because I've got 2 5s, so that was using a 5, not the 4 that it comes with. It's Monday today, which can only mean one thing: I've just been mowing the lawns. However, as a special treat, we're just off out to a local cafe for some brunch. Here we are, with what we can see, main strip of Buchan. Just sat outside waiting for my smoothie. Yeah, got a nice berry smoothie, which is really cold and refreshing, and a lovely peppermint tea. We're back from brunch, which was amazing, and since it's not raining quite as early as I thought it was going to, that gives me the chance to do one more bout of mowing. But I've got something amazing to show you. Look where I am. I am sat astride my lawnmower because last week my genius father-in-law came by and in the space of about 3 milliseconds fixed the mower for me. A week since the citizenship ceremony when I was given this Grevillea molly as a present, and the week after that was really hot and humid and actually pretty rank. It wasn't my favourite week, and I don't like planting things out under those conditions. I think that it puts them under unnecessary stress. But the weather's turned. It's probably about 14 degrees now, although it feels like about -3. So I'm going to go and plant it. And I haven't shown you the Grevillea garden yet, so I will assemble my kit and take you up there and we can have a look together. I thought I'd quickly show you my planting kit, which obviously includes the plant. And in this little trug I've got a mixture of compost and well-rotted animal manure, and I'll show you what I do with that. I've got this specialist native plant fertiliser. I gather that the main difference is that this is low in phosphorus. I don't quite know what effect phosphorus has on plants. Maybe I should have looked that up. Anyway, this has less of it than normal fertilisers. For whatever reason, Australian natives prefer that. And last but not least, my trusty little spade. I love this spade, it's so dinky. I don't know if my foot for comparison will help you gauge its scale. This is quite handy because it's so small, it's manoeuvrable and I can wiggle it in amongst the rocks. I'll head up there now and show you my Grevillea garden. Here I am in my Grevillea garden, and for context, for those of you who like to get a better understanding of the geography of the property, I'll spin round. This is the back of the house, and this is my water tanks. I've spoken about those previously. And then also you may recognise, although I'd be surprised I guess, from another previous video, this is the bracken line behind the house. So this is the area that is between the bracken line and the house, which I call the Grevillea garden because I have planted a series of Grevillea. I don't want to fill it with plants either, but I do want some interest, and I really want to attract the nectar loving birds that come to our garden. I'll see if I can flash up some pictures. Actually no, probably I won't be able to do that. I'm not sure about copyright. Anyway, look them up. One is called a honey eater and one is called a spinebill. They're beautiful little birds and they are very attracted to Grevillea plants. So I've planted an assortment of different types. They're very young at the moment, but hopefully they'll thrive. I can't remember the name of any of them, so as I show you them I'll try and flash that up at the bottom of the screen. But this is the first one. Seems to maybe even be having a little flower head. That's quite an interesting one. It's got very different leaves to the other Grevilleas that you'll see. So if I walk this way, this one here I happen to remember is called Woolly Bear Hero, and I know that the habit of this one is to creep along the ground. This is a ground hugging one, and hopefully it'll go down this bank. The light's quite flat so you can't really see, but there's a big slope here, and this is basically a ditch to protect the house from the rain. So hopefully this will stabilise the bank and flower and be very attractive. That's Grevillea Woolly Bear Hero. The next one's up here, it's this plant here. As you can see, looks very different from the first one I showed you, more reminiscent to Woolly Bear. Quite small at the moment, but hopefully it'll grow. Can't remember how big. Another little one down here, this one. This has got sort of thicker, softer leaves on that last one we just had a look at. I think this is another one that's ground hugging and will hopefully go down over the bank. What's that? That's 4. I think I've got 6 and my new one makes 7. This one here, I know it sort of looks a bit overgrown, but this one I know is going to grow to be a pretty big plant if it survives. It's put on a lot of growth since I planted it, but that's this one here, and again looks so different from the other ones we've just been having a look at, but this should grow into a pretty big and impressive plant. That's why I've put it further back here. And then the last one, back down this way. There we go. Oops. There we are. And as you can see, this one's very different again. Oh, that's new growth, that's positive. So now I need to think about where would be a good place to plant Molly. I could plant it in this sort of gap here, or in this gap here, or I could extend the Grevillea garden this way and plant it in this gap here. I think that might be a good one, sort of spread my Grevillea garden out all along here and then down that way, so there's a bit of interest from the library, be able to look up the hill hopefully and see all the pretty flowers. So I'm going to start digging my hole here. Well, there she is, planted up. I don't know how much you saw in the footage I just took, but it's quite nice soil here. It's quite sandy and free draining, but it does sit on a relatively shallow layer of clay, so you don't have to dig down too deep before you hit a clay layer. So there is a lot for plants here to contend with, but by the same token, I assume that they're sort of used to it and know how to cope with these conditions. I did put a little bit of this compost and manure mixture into the hole, but not too much. I don't want to sort of overstimulate it. And so I'll show you what the next step is. Because the conditions here are relatively challenging, what I like to do is just give all my new plants a little bit of a helping hand, a small handful of this slow release fertiliser, which I'll top up again in spring for all of my native plants, not just the Grevilleas, but all the ones that I've planted anyway. And then this is something that I have taken to doing since moving here, and it's basically a throwback from the fact that when we first moved here, I guess we were in drought. But basically I like to make a donut out of this, a dung donut. So what I do is I start spreading this around the perimeter of the plant, sort of just beyond the drip line and on top of the fertiliser. And what I hope this will do is not only gradually slow release nutrients to the plant, but it also acts as a barrier to keep the water at the plant rather than the water coming down the hill and just going away. So I'm hoping that this will have a sort of double whammy benefit for the plants, and I do this for every single plant that I put in my garden, regardless of whether it's a native plant or a non-native plant that I've got closer to the house. There we go, that just about does it. I'll pat that a bit. Maybe shore up this downslope section a little bit more. There we have it. A nice dung donut around the plant to hopefully keep the water where I want it to be. And there's one final step, and I'll just do that now and come back and show you. There we are. Aside from watering it, that's the job done. What I've done is build a cage of sticks around it. This is to protect the plant from kangaroos and wallabies, and luckily I have no shortage of sticks on my woodland floor. I had lost plants naively, in my naivety, when we first moved here, and I'll talk about this another time. I lost plants through being munched by kangaroos, wallabies, possibly wombats. I don't know, the culprits come at night. So I have taken to putting these wooden cages around all my plants. You may have noticed it on some of my other Grevillea. You might be able to make out that cage there. I only want the cage to be around the plant until the plant's established, and once plants reach a certain height, they can tolerate being munched a bit. But when they're small like this, it is possible for them to be munched in their entirety, and that's not what I want. Now, I appreciate for those of you who are in the UK or other countries, kangaroos and wallabies might not be such a problem. But I feel like this could be quite a good solution to people who might suffer from rabbits or experience rabbits or hares or deers coming into their garden and munching the plants. It's not unattractive, and it's very, very effective. I haven't lost a plant to animals since adopting this method. Anyway, I'm going to go and water it now, and then the jobs are given. Actually, at the risk of labouring the point, I thought I'd just show you how well the dung donut works. So I'm just watering around the base of the plant now. Going to give it a really good soak. But can you see how the water's staying around the plant there rather than what it would do if the dung donut wasn't there, which is just one down the hill. So it means that I'm able to be absolutely certain the plant's getting a decent water, which is what you need in this sandy soil in these hot summers.